Hi, how are you? My name's Jacob. I'll be the therapist that you're working with today, and your name is Robin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and is that the name you want to be called?
Yes.
Alright, well, it's nice to meet you, Robin.
It's nice to meet you.
So, today in this therapy session, we're going to start. I want to go over a couple things with you since it's your first time being here. So, we're going to go over confidentiality, and then once we discuss that, we'll start. You can talk about what's brought you in here today, and we can kind of identify any challenges you're having, and we'll discuss those, and we'll just go from there. Does that sound good to you? All right, so the first thing when it comes to confidentiality I want to discuss is I am a mandated reporter. So essentially, what that means is if anything you say within the session would tell me that there's some kind of neglect going on in terms of like children, elderly, or dependent persons, I do have to report that to the authorities. And I also have a duty to warn. So what that means is if you mention in our session something that makes me think that you would hurt yourself or somebody else, I do have to report that to the appropriate authorities. Does that make sense to you? Okay, great. And I also do want to say everything we talk about in this session outside of that stuff is confidential. Nobody else can have access to that information unless you will give a signature approving that person to be aware of what we're talking about in the session. Is that good?
That's good.
And we do have a record keeping policy, and to save us time, won't go in depth in that. But when you sign out and leave here today, the lady at the front desk, she will give you a copy of just how we keep our records so that you know and can be assured that when you come here, what you say here does stay here. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good.
All right. So, what has brought you here today?
Well, I think I'm an alcoholic.
You think you're an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
So, why do you believe that?
Well, I recently got a DUI, and I've realized that it has become a problem.
So, you just recently got a DUI. Is that the first time you got a DUI?
Yeah, but it's not the first time that I've been intoxicated while driving.
It was just the first time that consequences came out of it. So, okay. What other. Are you having problems in other areas of your life due to drinking? Do you feel is problematic?
I'm scared that I'm ruining my relationships with my family.
How so?
Well, they've all noticed it, and it's just, I'm constantly drunk, and it's upsetting them, and it's just been really hard for them, and I just finally realized that.
So, you seem like it does upset you. We're talking about this. Like, I can tell you seem very sad about it. So, do you think that getting a better relationship with your family is a big motivating factor for you to seek help?
Definitely, yeah.
So, that's okay. Well, it's always good to have something to push us towards our goals. Is there any other areas of your life besides, we have the legal when it comes to the DUI and the family issues? Is there any other aspects of your life that you feel are being affected by your drinking?
I'm scared that I might lose my job, which is really scary because not only would it make my life really difficult, I also have a fine for the drinking and driving that I need to pay off, and if I lose my job, that's going to be difficult on me and my family.
That makes sense. So, what exactly is, because you said, you're not being able to work as well. What are some examples of you not being able to uphold your duties at work?
Well, I mean, call-offs have been more common because sometimes I wake up feeling really, really sick the next morning. And when I am there, I just have no energy, so I'm doing way less work than when I started. And I have gotten in trouble with it a few times.
What do they say when they talk to you? Have they any kind of suspensions, any kind of threats of termination, anything in that nature?
Well, I've been written up a few times, and if I get 3 of them for the same reason, I will get terminated. And right now I only have 1, but if I don't fix it, I definitely will end up getting more.
So it definitely sounds like keeping your job is definitely an important reason to try to cut back on the drinking. Now, do you feel that you just need to cut back on drinking, or do you believe that you just need to quit entirely and be abstinent from alcohol use?
It helps me sleep. I can't sleep without it, so it would be really hard on me to just quit completely.
So I can see that you're playing with your hands when you're saying that. So is it that you know that it's a necessary step to cut out that alcohol use, and that maybe sleep is just one factor that you can focus on to where it would be a negative aspect if you quit drinking entirely?
It'll just be really hard for me.
So let's say if you quit drinking entirely, what do you think your life would look like?
I mean, it would be a lot less stressful because I wouldn't have to worry about my job or losing my family. But I just feel like I would be sad. Alcohol helps me be happy throughout the day.
So you think that alcohol is what keeps you happier?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it sounds like it's the root of a lot of the problems that you've been discussing with me. Would you agree with that? So do you think that maybe by cutting out those problems, that you would just have a happier life? So let's go back before you started drinking. What did you do to keep yourself happy then?
Mainly just being around my friends, having people who loved me around.
Speaking of friends, how are your friendships now?
I don't really talk to majority of the people that I was friends with then.
So you don't talk to them. Is there any particular reason that you don't talk to them anymore?
It feels like they've outgrown me. They don't want to do the things that I want to do. I mean, they have lives, families, careers. They don't want to go to the bar or anything that I would really want to do.
So it just sounds like you guys have kind of chosen different paths in life, and they kind of grew out of that parting phase, probably, but you still feel like you're there. Okay. So, with everything we've talked about, you mentioned, your friends, they kind of moved on to this different lifestyle, so you don't talk to them that much, right? And with work, it sounds like you're having problems with absenteeism and just, even when you're there, just kind of a lack of productivity. Does that sound right? And then we know with your family, them, I think, being so close to you, they've really seen the upfront effects of the drinking. So, do you think they are the people who are most affected by it?
Yeah.
So it sounds like alcohol is the general problem with a lot of what you're experiencing. Would you agree with that? So,
Helps.
but what if you could find other ways to help you sleep and to be happy? Because, you did mention that before you started drinking a lot, you became very happy by being around friends and loved ones. So, it sounds like to me just having more positive relationships with those people could help fill that gap by itself.
I do miss when everything was different. My husband has definitely started avoiding me a little bit. My daughter won't talk to me.
So you said your husband avoids you. What does that mean when he avoids you?
It just always seems like he doesn't want to be home with me. Like he's always doing something or going to his parents, going to other places. I don't think that he likes being around me when I'm not in the right headspace, I guess. Like I barely see him, and when I do, he just seems really upset with me.
Now, is that something that's gotten more frequent in the past couple years since the drinkings became more heavy? Okay. Now, I do want to take a step back for a second before we go any further. I think just only talking about problems can be very hard. So I would like to just discuss with you for a minute things that have went well and what you've been able to do for yourself in the past couple of years. So really before the problems at work were going on, I know that you're in management, so it's like, how did you get to that point?
I mean, definitely was the hardest work that I had for a little bit. I ended up getting promoted to assistant manager, and that was really cool for me because I always liked how hard I used to work, and getting promoted was a really big deal for me.
So it sounds like work is something that can be fulfilling for you.
I've always been like that until recently. I used to definitely be one of the people who was kind of excited to be there. I never had an issue with my job being, like, I always really enjoyed it. We have a really, really nice team, and I was very close with them for a while.
So it sounds like that, you know, you're less close to these coworkers, that you used to have good relationships now. And before you drank, social interactions were something that could definitely bring you happiness. And from what you've been telling me, it sounds like one of your biggest worries about quitting alcohol is that you won't be happy. But to me, it just sounds like all these little pieces could be improved and could lead to that happiness that you think that alcohol brings you. Do you agree with that?
I miss my friends and my family, the way that things were, and I just feel like I'm ruining it.
Well, there's always time to do something about it, you know. And I can tell that, you know, you sound upset when you're talking about this, so I can tell that these people do mean a lot to you, and you would like to better these relationships, right? So, if you thought about any steps that you could take with your drinking to improve some of these problems you're facing in life?
I haven't really thought about it. I didn't really see it as a realistic thing for a while.
So why did you not think it was realistic?
It's hard to admit that you have a problem. And I guess for a while I felt like everyone was against me. I didn't want to admit anything.
So do you think you would consider yourself now as someone who has a problem with alcohol?
Yeah.
Well, the first step is always to admit that when it comes to making a change. And of course, coming here and trying to seek professional help is, so you've already started taking little steps towards that.
What should I do?
Well, you know, that all depends on you. I can't sit here and tell you what to do. You know, my job is not to just direct you to just do whatever I think you should. You know, everyone has their own lives and their own factors. So it seems like for a minute now you've realized there's a problem. I'm sure you probably have thought about things you could do, right?
I know I can't do it alone. And I'm scared that I've messed up my relationship with my family so much that they won't really be willing to help me.
But you do think you need some kind of support to really make a change. Now, there are a few different options when it comes to seeking help. I mean, you already took one step by coming here to talk to a therapist. But now, when it comes to alcohol abuse, there are different options for when it comes to treatment or even just like peer support groups. So have you ever heard of AA or those kind of groups?
I guess it wouldn't hurt to try to go to one of those.
So do you think that would be a good first step to try to work towards stopping your problem with alcohol?
Maybe it could be nice to be around people who could kind of relate. Maybe.
I completely understand that. From personal experience, I do think it does help sometimes to be around people who are going through similar things as you, because you feel understood.
Maybe it would just be good to see your progress, see how far they came with it.
So you can see actual examples of it's possible.
Just seems really hard. Maybe if I see that it is possible, it could help me go through with it.
I understand. I mean, there's a few. AA isn't the only peer support group that's out there. They actually have a group called Women for Sobriety. So it is similar to AA. They don't really call them steps, but it's similar. But they have 13. But the group is similar, but specifically tailored for women. So that is one option that can be looked into. And there's also this secular organization for sobriety. I know a lot of people I talk to, when it comes to AA and those kind of organizations, they sometimes have a hard time with the religious aspect about it because everyone has their certain beliefs. So that is actually an option for those people that they could look into.
I think the women's group would be nice. I'd probably be around other moms who had issues with their families. Maybe I could ask them how they fixed the problem.
Definitely. I mean, that's what those kind of peer help groups are for. That's a lot of the premise of them, is to have a community of people going through the same thing to help lift each other up. So I think we identified a goal that we could move towards is reaching out to that organization. I do believe there's a local chapter, so we can get information on that and a contact. And we can give that to you when you leave today. So, do you think you are willing to contact the Women for Sobriety after leaving here today?
Yeah. I think that could be helpful. I think that seeing other women who have struggled with this succeed would be really nice.
I think that sounds like a good idea. Now, so we've already established one goal to work towards. And I know going back just talking about support systems, you're worried about not getting that from your family. Did you discuss with your husband at all you coming to therapy?
No. It's kind of a really hard thing to talk about. I've always kind of prided myself on being independent. So this was kind of a really difficult step for me.
But considering your husband does get upset by your drinking, do you think he would believe therapy is a good thing and see that it's good you're trying?
I think that he would probably think it's a good thing. I'm kind of embarrassed that I need help.
But isn't it better to go through that embarrassment than to maybe suffer the other repercussions if you didn't?
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to see how it went before, I guess, getting their hopes up.
I understand.
They're very important to me, and I don't want them to see me fail. I want to be able to tell them that I'm getting better if I'm actually getting better.
I understand. But do you think that bringing them along on this journey and having the support from them can be helpful to you?
They're the main reason I'm here.
So I think maybe something else that we can work on before your next session would be sitting down with your husband and just kind of talking to him about it. Do you think that'd be a good thing?
I don't really know why I'm so afraid to tell him. I feel like he would be happy to know this. It's just kind of hard.
Well, I think you've expressed that you're just afraid of getting his hopes up, that you're getting help and it not go through. So I think that makes sense. But I think you've also recognized getting that support is going to be important to help you move forward. So that's one way to help kind of start getting that ball rolling with your family. Now, going back to the problems at work, what's something you think you could change to help improve that situation?
I mean, I think it would be a lot easier if I didn't always come into work hungover. I didn't always feel sick. I didn't call off. And I just kind of feel that I could kind of go back to how I was.
So it sounds like you want to be more productive at work and to be able to show up more. That sound right? So what's something specific you can do to help help you achieve that?
I guess just try not to drink at night. Make it easier to get up in the morning and just go there.
It sounds like that you want to quit drinking the nights before work. So possibly a good start is to just limit your drinking for now until we get further down the line to only nights when you don't have to go to work the next day.
That would be helpful.
So that'd be helpful. So see, that sounds like another goal we have established is just to cut back the drinking on the nights before work so you can show up and can be productive at work. Because as you say yourself, you've gotten a lot of fulfillment out of your work life. And I think that would be a good start there to improve that and to start helping you see that without drinking, there are positives that can come besides just fixing immediate problems. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
All right. And so we've really covered work, and we've covered starting to bring your family into the equation. And then it was awesome that you decided you want to look into the Women for Sobriety group. Really, the one aspect we haven't touched on is your friendships. Are those something you want to work on?
I think it would be good for me.
It'd be good.
But I think that I need to focus on my family before I take that step.
Okay, that makes sense. But instead of maybe, just trying to completely just re-enter these friend groups and doing that, did you have friends that you were closer to than others? Like, did you have a best friend?
Yeah. She's basically the only one that still keeps in touch with me, but it's not how it used to be at all.
How is it different now?
She's just we don't talk as much. She has a life outside of me, and she focuses on that. Like my other friends, I feel like she's outgrown me, and she checks up on me, but that's about it.
How do you think she would feel if she heard that you are trying to seek help for your drinking?
I think that she would be happy. She was one of the first people to kind of point it out.
No, so she was. So she noticed it and she said something to you. Do you think it was kind of after that is when the friendships stopped being as close? No. Do you think she's someone that you could rely on when it comes to this process? Just to have that little bit more support. Because from what I've heard, you're afraid of disappointing your family. So do you think it would maybe be good to have another person to be able to confide certain things into that maybe you wouldn't be comfortable discussing with your family just yet.
She's always been there for me.
So a good support system right there. So, what do you think you should do to maybe kind of get her on board to being a support system for you?
I think all I would really need to do is reach out.
You just reach out.
She's been with me through a lot. And I really think that she'd be willing to help.
So, sounds like that's something else that can be worked on for our next session. Is, you know, on top of, you know, sitting down talking to your husband about it, you can reach out to her and discuss this with her too. Do you think that's something that you're going to be able to do for the next session?
Yeah.
So that sounds good. Okay. So, you know, it really sounds like you're ready to start getting the ball rolling on making some changes. You know, we talked about contacting the Women for Sobriety and just seeing how that support group can be beneficial to you. And as I said, we'll get you that contact information before you leave today. You've said that, you know, want to talk to your husband, because you know that he probably will be happy to hear that you're making this step. Kind of get him on board, and also reaching out to your best friend to get that more support that you stated you feel like you need. Does that sound right? And then, you know, that's all kind of the same. It's all just reaching out to people, just making calls. So then with work, we talked about just cutting back the drinking on the nights before work so you can be more productive and show up more. Is that right? Alright, so all in all, that's 4 goals we've established. So I think at this point would be a good point to start wrapping up the session. So you already kind of have the next steps of what to do and what you want to do. Is there anything you'd want to add? Any questions that you have for me? Anything I could do to assist you in making those goals possible?
You said that you would give me the information for the women's group.
Yeah, we'll have it at the front desk. So when we give you the confidentiality form, we'll just give you that with it too. So you'll have that number.
I think that that's going to be a really helpful first step for me.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, they find that peer support is really crucial. And if you've identified yourself, support is a big thing. So I think it'd be a good idea. So we'll get you set up for that. Is there anything else? I mean, do you think that we can work together? Do you think they would like to make these goals happen for you?
Yeah.
You think so? Okay. Alright, so that sounds good. So just, you know, you have these specific things to work on before our next session. We'll get you scheduled up front. Once you go out there, get those papers, we'll just go ahead and schedule your next appointment. We'll just put it out for a week.
Okay.
So that's 1 week, you know, do all these things, which definitely is plenty of time to reach out to people. And we'll just monitor your progress when you come back. I'll just follow up. I'll ask you, you know, did you talk to your husband? Did you talk to the best friend? Did you reach out to the Women's of Sobriety? And we can, you know, monitor just the progress that has been made when it comes to work and cutting back drinking the night before. A lot of the times I kind of like to use a 1 to 10 scale. So 1 is no movement at all, for 10 is achieved. So Usually that's the format. I'll just kind of ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you feel that you've worked toward achieving this goal? And just from there, maybe we can discuss it more. And if you have any other concerns, any other issues, things that come up, we can also discuss those before the next session. Is there anything else that you have for me before I let you go up front?
Do you think that if he's up for it, it would be possible to do a session in the future with my husband?
We do couple sessions, so if that's something you want to do, we certainly can do that.
I think that would be helpful. I'd like to be able to get everything out in the open, understand how he's feeling.
Yeah, so that sounds good. And I mean, you can think about it, and even if you want for your next session to bring him in, you can call and get that arranged for you.
Okay.
So that sound good?
That sounds good.
All right. Anything else for me?
No.
All right. Well, I think that you proved with work you can be a hard worker and do those things. So I think that you will be able to definitely do what we talked about today. And I'll just look forward to our next session. So let's take you up front. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.